Hello everyone, this is Len from Hygrid.io, the simplest Excel delivery tool in the world. In this video, we are going to show you the Excel user experience of Hygrid and how easy it is for users to pull data from any system just using native Excel functionality. Let's begin. In this use case, let us imagine that we have an organization that manages investments for clients. That organization has stock and bond investment positions that are stored in a SQL database internal to them, and their business analysts or accounting users want to pull their data out of that system for their own reporting. Every day, those business users have to log into some system, go to a report screen, run a report, download an Excel version or CSV format of that report, and copy and paste into a workbook to run a pivot table report. So now we're going to show you how Hygrid streamlines this process by creating live reports right within Excel. We'll go to the Hygrid add-in plugin, log the user in, and we can see what reports are made available to them. Here, this particular user-led demo is able to see sales reports, Salesforce data, and we are searching for investment holdings report. So here is the report that is connected to the database, and we would like to load this data right in Excel. So here you have it. Here is the position data that came right from this organization database, and if they had a pivot table, you can see here they made a live report. So if we wanted to say, look at April 1st's data, we already have it linked to the sheet once, so now we can go out and retrieve whatever holdings we have for 4/1. And by the way, look how fast that was, and that was 7,500 records that we just uploaded. Another awesome way to get data into sheets is via formulas. So every single report that we have access to has a corresponding custom function. So for instance, if we wanted to pull that same data via a function, we just wanted to pass it a date, we can simply link it to a cell and run it that way. Likewise, if you wanted to change the date, the cell will auto-generate on the fly. Now I'm going to demonstrate Hygrid's cloud-based administration functionality that enables any developer to send queryable data feeds directly into one's Excel simply by writing a SQL query or web API call. In this example, I'm going to connect Hygrid to a SQL Server database. We have a database with 3 tables, and the table that we want to make into a report is this investment holdings table. But we don't want to query all the data in the table. We'll want to parameterize it based on the date, so we can show what holdings we have just for a given date. To send data to Excel, there are 3 steps that we need to follow. We create a data source, which connects into the data source, create the report, which holds the query, and simply permission the users. Let's begin. So in this particular case, we've already created a data source. Here's the login credentials, the information to connect to it, and you can test that connection works. And then we create a report. So you can see here right now the grouping matches what we have in Excel. Let's create a new report. The first thing we set is the data source. Since we've already established our data source pointing to our SQL Server, we'll just use that. The object is what kind of query we're going to use. The group name and the child group name dictate where in the hierarchy in Excel our report will sit. We can set this. Let's make a new one called investments. And the child group will be holdings. And we're going to call our report investment positions. Category is just how to categorize these. We're not going to use that for now. And here's where we'll put in our query that sends the report. So we're going to say select star from investment holdings, And then to test that query, we can just press the test button. And here you go. You can see it went to the database and pulled 23,462 records. And here's the grid view and the call that we made. And below is the list of the columns that get pulled back from the query. And here we can ignore, meaning we can only send certain columns, and also we can set the formatting in Excel and reorder the columns. So let's save this query. And lastly, we just need to permission our user so that they see them. So in this case, we made this new one. Let's permission that report. And so the next time they log into Excel or refresh it, now we can see here is our investment positions. And if we run it, here we're fetching the data. Now, this was the full 23,463 records. That wasn't our objective. Our objective was to also have a parameter that allowed the user to filter by certain items. So let's go back to the report and add a parameter to filter by, say, date. So we can just use a where clause to say where date equals my date. And this is SQL parameters. And now we want to associate our parameter with what the user will see. So the parameter we called as my date, we just simply don't put in the @ Here we can put in various data types for any parameter. We can put a string, a number, a drop-down list of items. We can have a dynamic list, which uses another query to populate the list. But in this case, we're doing a date. And here we can put either a default date, or let's put today's date as the default when it shows up. And here we'll call it report date. So now, if you want to test, we have no data for today, so that's okay. So if we save this and then refresh Excel, now you can see here, and it's defaulting to today's date. We know that there was no data on 5/8, but there was some data on the prior day. And so there we can now see our dates, and we are only producing records for 5/7. Let's also say we want to, just for fun, add additional parameter, like we want to filter by ticker. So we can add an additional parameter and say and ticker, because this is the column name ticker, equals ticker. So we can just simply connect the parameter with the user control. We called it the parameter ticker. Here we'll just make it a string. We'll leave it blank as the default value, and we'll call it ticker. So now if we save this guy and refresh it, now we can see ticker. Do we have any? Let's say we have ADS. So if we refresh this, now it's like this. And every parameter that we add, remember, we can also add a formula that's also going to show our parameters we can use. So we can say investment positions, 5/7/2018, and we called it ADS. Bam, we can see it that way. So there you have it. That's how easy it is to set up a report in Hygrid. If you like what you see, please click on the download Hygrid link on our website and share this video.